Hello and a warm welcome. My name is Mr. T, your host. This is another Junior Taki production. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to sketch a hyperbola and an exponential function. It will be important for you to go back to the first video, the first theory video, where we touched the main features of a hyperbola. So we move on straight to the first question, where we're required to sketch the graph of g of x is equal to 6 over x minus 2. If you remember, the main features that we have in a hyperbola is that we've got two asymptotes and we've got two curves which are drawn in opposite quadrants. So we're going to start off though by stating the asymptotes. Remember, the first asymptote is actually x is equals to 0. And I've already explained that, how we get the x is equals to 0. Remember, we equate whatever we have in the denominator to 0, leading to that x is equals to 0. And we know that the other value or the other asymptote would be y is equals to that q value. So the second asymptote is y is equals to negative 2. Moving on to the x-intercept. To get the x-intercept, we know we assume that y is equals to 0. So in that original equation where we've got g of x, remember that g of x is the same as your y. So we're going to sub in, wherever there is y, we sub in 0. Getting a new equation written as 0 is equals to 6 over x minus 2. Solving for x, we're going to have 2 is equals to 6 over x. Simplified, that gives us 2x is equals to 6 as our linear equation. Then solving for that linear equation, we get our x value to be equal to 3. Trying to get our y-intercept, and I'm deliberate to say trying to get our y-intercept. To get our y-intercept, we say x is equals to 0. So in place of x, we're going to sub in 0. We're going to get our g of 0 is equal to 6 over 0. But we've got a problem. The problem is that 6 divided by 0 renders that whole equation on the right-hand side as undefined. Therefore, we do not have a y-intercept for this specific graph. It's not always the case, but for this specific graph, we do not have a y-intercept. We move on. So whatever information that we got, our intercepts, our asymptote, we carry them over to the next page, just like that. Now, a brief theory here, just as a reminder, we remember that if our a value is greater than 0, our a is positive, then we expect our graph to be drawn in quadrants 1 and quadrant 3. The main feature would be obviously our x-intercept, which is at 3. Hence, you already see the 3 on that sketch. But we also need to remember that when we want to draw or sketch any hyperbola, we always start with the asymptotes. We always start with the asymptotes. The two asymptotes are your x is equals to 0 and your y is equals to minus 2. So we start with x is equals to 0, followed by your y is equals to minus 2 as the second asymptote. Our a value we said is positive, so we're expecting quadrant 1 and 3 respectively. So our curves would look exactly like that. We move on to the next function, which is an exponential function. For our exponential function, we are required to sketch the graph of y is equals to 2x minus 4. Same principle. Remember, the main features of an exponential function are that we have one asymptote. And the one asymptote is simply that q value. So our asymptote is y is equals to negative 4. To get our x-intercept, we always say our y is equals to 0. So we get an exponential equation written as 0 is equals to 2 to the power x minus 4. Solving for that exponential equation, we're going to get 2 to the power x is equals to 4. Then making sure that both sides of the equation, the exponential equation, the bases are the same. We're going to get 2 to the x is equals to 2 to the 2. Therefore, our x value is equals to 2. Getting our y-intercept, we know that our x has to be equal to 0. So we're going to have y is equal to 2 to the 0 minus 4. When simplified, that gives us a y value of minus 3. We proceed and take all that information to the next page. So we've got our x-intercept, our y-intercept, and our asymptote as the main features that we need to see on the graph. We start off by indicating our asymptote, the y is equals to negative 4. Thereafter, we obviously state the two intercepts, the y and the x-intercept, starting with the y, followed by the x. Then the shape of the graph would be like that. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Until next time, signing out is Mr. T. Bye-bye.